Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching. By law, I have to tell you that this is for entertainment purposes only. All videos are property of Psychic Liz Cross, LLC. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here with the amazing psychic Liz Cross. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. I'm with the lovely Mr. Photon. Thank you so much for putting this together for us.
Yeah, so we thought we'd do a probe on the future of music. We touched on it briefly some time ago, maybe like a year or more ago, on AI and what's going to happen. I think that's what we did. I think we did like an AI probe in general, and I think I may have asked about music, what's going to happen with music. And a lot has happened, in that time since then. AI's got a lot better at doing music. So I think it's good to have a probe here to see where that's going, and we to give us a chance to bring in some cool people to probe as well, like Johnny Cash. Um, so this should be fun. Before we get started, I'll just remind you I do have a tip jar. Please feel generous to support me, and I'm much thanks to everybody that has chipped in over the months and years. Really do appreciate that. If you enjoy the videos that I'm putting out, and of course, you can support the channel as well by going to Patreon. Go to Patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond, and you're going to get access to all of the videos that are private. We do a lot of part one, part two videos on our channel. So you'll have access to that. And you get to be on our forum, which is on the Discord and Patreon. And you can ask questions about probes and just hang out with cool people like yourself. So encourage you to go over there and support us. So let's bring in Mr. Johnny Cash.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to dedicate this video to Nat Janoff, by the way. I love Nat. He's awesome. He's one of our members, and here's his YouTube channel. You should check him out.
Yes.
He's
So
awesome.
it's good. I think it's good to balance this out. So since we're going to be doing some AI music stuff, well, here's someone you can go support that's a real musician, gigging musician. He's an amazing jazz guitarist. And you can go see him play live gigs in New York if you're in the area. Otherwise, you can join his YouTube channel here and check him out, give him a follow. So I think that's a good balance because we're not going to talk about a lot of, um, people that aren't real that do music. So
Right.
that's a good balance there. Okay, cool. We're also going to bring in record producer, Mr. George Martin, who is famous producer of the Beatles. And he passed on a few years ago. I think that's a good kind of roundabout. We'll have a writing and gigging musician and also a famous producer, who's also kind
Hmm.
of royalty in music as well. So I think he was knighted too, if I'm not mistaken. So he's royalty in music and in the royal family, I guess, however that works. Um, okay, so we want to know about the future of music because right now it's getting pretty scary out there in terms of how good these new AI music platforms are at creating songs with just typing a few words in. So one of the websites where you can do that is called Suno, and it's absolutely insane. You can literally type in 4 or 5 words. You describe the type of music, the emotion, maybe even like a topic, or you can combine a bunch of different artists that you want. Like you can name artists, and they have these engines where they will literally build you a song within a few minutes, and they're quite convincing. Like for some genres, like for instance, like country, like pop country music, it is. I mean, they better watch out in Nashville, these writers, because it doesn't sound too much far off from what you hear on the top radio for these songs, where you have like 5, 10 writers on it. Now you just need an AI and a prompt. Um, so some people
Hmm.
can tell the difference still, and some people can't. But I'm the way this is going in another 6 months to a year, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to tell the difference in terms of like the quality of the vocals and everything like that. So it's going to, in my opinion, it's going to replace, maybe not everything, but there's certain things that are just not going to be done by humans anymore, I think, just because it's going to be too convenient, too cheap to do it. And as we see with technology, that usually wins out in the end. Sometimes, at the behest of good things going away. So, yeah. And the news has been lately is that there's been AI artists, full artists that people have created, like this group. This is a fully artificial group who have created a full album, and now it's streaming on the streaming platforms, right? And the question is, well, who gets paid? Who is this, what happens? Who owns the rights to this music? Does the AI, does the AI platform that it created from, does ChatGPT get royalties for for this artificial group that is on getting views on Spotify and plays on Spotify? And the other controversy around that is that Spotify themselves, well, they are making money off of this AI music that they're creating themselves. And we're going to find out if that's true, because if they don't have to pay real musicians, then they save a lot of money. And
Oh,
it seems like what they're doing right now over the past couple of years is they're slowly starting to like slip in a lot of this AI generated music and tune their algorithms so that you hear it above real artists and real independent artists that they're competing with. And if they don't have to pay out royalties to a record company or to an independent artist, then they get to pocket a whole bunch of money. So this is
wow.
the CEO here, Daniel Ek of Spotify. So I want to mind probe him actually. And I want to know, what are they are they intentionally using their algorithms to push artificially generated music over real artists?
You intentionally using your algorithms to push AI gener. Oh, yeah. When I asked him that, he's like rubbing his hands together, like somebody who's like, "Ooh, we're in the money."
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
what you're doing? Absolutely, they're doing that. It's easy.
So are they creating their own artificially or AI songs and then putting them on their platform and then, you know,
Mm.
putting them out front?
Are you creating your own AI songs? Is Spotify the company creating its own AI? Oh yeah, they've got a team of people doing this.
Right. So I don't think they're
Wow.
publicly saying this, but this is what everybody is, well, not everybody, but people that are in like the know of this stuff and are concerned about it, that's what they're worried about.
Wow.
Because, right now, the streaming services and YouTube, I mean, that's the only place that you can listen to, like, that's where everybody listens to music. It's not really the radio anymore, right? And
Hmm.
so music has really become driven by an algorithm. And it has its benefits and it has its drawbacks for sure. But when you put AI into the mix and you have a company, the leading company of streaming music, pushing the artificial intelligence through the algorithm, then you don't have a choice. If you're listening to a playlist, they're just putting this stuff in there. So they make money because they don't have to pay real artists, right? And then they're also kind of changing the culture slowly of music itself to get used to this sort of thing so that they can make money in the future. So what is his goal? What is it? Is there like a goal that they're looking to achieve with AI with Spotify?
Is there a goal you're looking to achieve with AI and with Spotify? Yeah, to make as much money as possible. This is easy street for them.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
all over it.
yeah. It seems like all the policies that they put into place to me seem like they're not really for certainly independent artists. And they're just cutting corners and doing as much as they can to save a buck. Um, so it sucks because they're a monopoly, right? Just like, it was in the old days with the record companies, but now they really have a monopoly on music, and they're becoming the new record company, the only game in town. Now they do have a competitor which is not as big, and that's Deezer. And actually, what they've started doing is the opposite. They've started to actually label the AI music so that you can know if it's AI or if it's real, because their platform is getting spammed with AI music. So people will create their own AI music and then put it on, they'll upload it, and then they'll have bots just play it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they'll just keep doing that with different new AI songs. And that way they game the system and they get paid for doing that. So what they've said publicly is that they're now screening for it and they're getting rid of the spam. And then the stuff that they're leaving on there, they're just they're labeling it so people can choose what they listen to at the very least. So it doesn't seem like they have the same business model as Spotify. Can we probe the CEO here?
Yeah, I've never heard of them. What would you
Alex.
like to know?
So are they engaging in the same policies as Spotify, where they're creating AI music and sneakily kind of putting it in there, and the same sort of thing we probed?
Are you engaging in the creation of AI music or pushing it with algorithms? They're doing the same thing.
Are they? Okay. All right. So are they just are they doing this as like a public relations or PR thing to look like they're, you know, more fair to artists?
Are you doing this as a public relations thing to look like you're more fair to other artists? No, they're making money.
Yeah. They make just so it's the same thing. It's if they don't have to pay a record company or an artist, then they make more money at the end of the day. So it's the same business model as Spotify. The only difference is that they are labeling it and claiming that they're cleaning up their platform, but it doesn't sound like they're sounds like they may be cleaning up people outside of Deezer who are
Mhm.
posting things, but not themselves. They're not policing themselves.
Okay,
So
let's ask that. Let's ask that. Are you cleaning up people outside of Deezer? Oh yeah, they're getting rid of them. Because you still have to pay them.
yeah,
They're saying we'll just generate it ourselves.
right. Yeah, and that's what Spotify is doing also.
Mm.
So that's kind of dangerous going forward in terms of, because Spotify is really the only game in town, and these are the only guys that are really, you know, maybe second in line, I would say, for a major streaming but obviously besides like YouTube and Apple Music. So okay, so now that we know what they're doing in reality, let's ask our panel where this is going. Let's ask Mr. Johnny Cash and Mr. Martin. Where is this AI music going with streaming? Will AI music um, dominate the total number of songs that people listen to on these streaming platforms, and how long will that take, if so?
Okay, so the first question is, will AI dominate the music streaming? Now, Johnny Cash, his own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Hello, Mr. Cash. So glad you're here. By the way, he's got a guitar on his back and a whiskey bottle in his hand. He wanted
Right.
you all to know that.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that question again?
So on platforms like Spotify, will AI music dominate the charts in the future?
Will AI music dominate the charts in the future? It's about 50-50.
Okay, that's good. So that's kind of
Well,
my question is actually one of my questions that I had written down here. Will there be an will music be split up into two camps? One being organic music and one being AI driven music.
music beast. No, they're going to keep it together so you don't know which is which.
Oh, okay.
That's what they want to do because what? That's how they make money.
Hmm. Okay. All right, well, let's
Now,
ask it.
I
Okay,
have
go
to
ahead.
give you
No, go
this.
ahead.
Sorry,
Mhm.
something's coming in here. I have to guess like, ooh, my crystal ball. Um, Going out into the future, artists are going to find it very, very difficult to make money for their work because if they create a style or something catchy, AI is going to recreate that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of lawsuits about copying music, um, taking someone's style is what I'm getting as well, taking someone's voice. There was a country, and I can't remember, I saw this briefly just recently that basically has automatically put a law in to trademark the person. So, like you, Mr. Photon, you're an individual with your individual biometrics, fingerprints, voice, all of that. And now it's automatically trademarked by law. So that if you say produced a song or you wrote a song or and you use your voice and your talent to that can't be copied.
Yeah. And
So
if it
mhm.
is, you get paid royalties from that AI music that's based off your fingerprint, so to speak.
Right, right. So let's ask, will we see that here in the US? Ooh, eventually, but it's way on out in the future, way
Yeah.
on out. Because what they're going to do is they're going to start copying, are we going to see a lot more oh God, identity theft's going to go through the roof. Now,
Yeah.
I know that I know this is going off on one, but deeds to houses are kept at the county office. There's all this house deed scam where people are getting their houses sold out from underneath their feet. Well, in the UK, they did do something right, which is they created because it's all held nationally at the land registry, they have created a database that if anybody tampers with your deed or even wants information on your deed, you get an alert. So really,
Hmm.
the local county offices should be implementing that in place, but Johnny Cash is saying they won't. Um,
Yeah, I'm
so
just go ahead. Go
where do we stand with this music thing? You don't even want to know what he just said.
ahead. Yeah, good idea.
I think he's been drinking on the other
Yeah.
side because he's given me a foul-mouthed rant.
Yeah.
But basically, politely, you're fudged if you are a musician going forward. Your chances are being cut down, according to Johnny Cash.
Right. And that's in like what do you say that that's in the traditional market of being a musician, like the pop stars or the popular music of the time? Will it be dominated by AI in the future? Like what we would consider like top Billboard music today?
Will it be dominated by? Yes. I mean, you're always going to have your pop stars and things like that, but he's talking more about credibility, getting
Uh,
credit for your songwriting, getting credit for your
right.
riffs, your guitar riffs, your things like that.
Yeah.
Just putting stuff together, getting credit. That's where musicians are going to have a very difficult time in the future, unfortunately.
Yeah. And you can already see it now because how these platforms work is they're trained off of music that already exists. They don't make it up out of thin air.
Mm.
So, and you can literally ask it, you can ask it in the style of Johnny Cash, right? Literally. And it's going to go through whatever it can find in its library of music related to that and rip that style off. Now, in music, right, everything's derivative. Like that's how it is. But when you're using the artificial intelligence, it's not the same process as an artist, existing two generations later that's listening to older music and now formulating something new. I think it's a different thing. Um, and it's going to be doing it so efficiently and at the flick of a button that you're right, how you were saying, like in the future, it's really going to be hard for artists to create something and then it's going to just be instantly stolen from them. Right. I could
Mm,
see how as soon as they release something that's new or novel, instantaneously this artificial intelligence will pick it up and then start just pumping out derivatives of it immediately so that you can't even expand on that creativity. It's almost like
wow.
if you're an artist, I would imagine you're going to have to do everything in a silo, like not connected to the internet at all, and then just release it out of nowhere so that at least your music has some sort of a chance before it gets, torn down by the AI in a few seconds, right? Uh,
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And the whole concept of producing, which I'm sure you're going to get into, has
mm,
changed as well.
yeah. So we can ask Mr. George Martin about that. Music production. I feel like this is where, and it already is, gonna gonna be AI is gonna be implemented first because right now, if you're at least talking about like the top
Mm,
100 Billboard music, right, all the pop stuff, generally the biggest stuff has like 5 writers, 10 writers, right? They go into a room, they have writing rooms in LA and in Nashville, and they have this formulaic way to build these pop songs, and then they get a pop star and they'll perform the song, right? And that's how like all the top stuff for the most part is done today. And so AI really replaces that process because you don't need 10 writers anymore. AI can literally do it in 2 seconds and come up with all these lyrics based on all of the, stuff that's already out there now, right? So that goes away. And then you have what's happening right now. You have these people that are being created, these artificial pop stars. So this is the most popular one that's gone viral. The AI pop star stage name is Zania Monet. Okay, and it's actually done by a real person. This person down here at the bottom, what she did is she took the AI and basically made an AI model, right? That's not her face, like it's someone else completely, and then made a voice for that person. And she's claiming that she is writing the lyrics and giving it to the AI. But I actually want to know the truth about that because she's putting out a lot of content. And this is the real person here, Talisha Jones.
okay.
Actually, yeah, I wondered if we could probe her and ask her that question. Is she
Okay.
using her own lyrics that she's written herself, or is she using AI to produce the lyrics as well for her character?
Are you using your, no, this is all AI generated. Are you using your own lyrics that you've written yourself? No, none of it is hers.
Yeah. And I had a suspicion about that because it's too easy, right? Maybe she started off using her own lyrics, but she's writing all this content constantly. And as soon as you start using that, it's like you can't, it's like a drug. It's like it's just too easy, right? You just pump out content every minute. So that's kind of what we're up against is these artificial pop stars or whatever musical groups that they're creating, right? And they can just create content like over and over and over and over again. It's almost like having, the old saying, having 1,000 monkeys on 1,000 typewriters. Eventually, they'll
Mm,
come up with writing a famous work of art. It's
yeah.
it's kind of like that because you can just have these things work 24/7, 24 hours a day and program them. Eventually they're going to be programmed quite well. I don't think that's going to stop. So um I just see where this is going, right? The only thing that kind of stands in the way right now is that, you know, people of our generation and it's the younger generation still as well to some degree, they still value the real artists because you can see even in the metrics of things like it's kind of like, yeah, they find out it's AI and then they kind of lose interest. But The next generations coming up, I would think once they start, growing up with AI music, it'll just be normalized, right? And I think that's when you'll really see a big shift into things. But we can ask Mr. Martin, is that kind of true what I said? Like for the time being in the short term, will people generally still value real music and organic music and live music and all those wonderful things? And will it be the next generations that where the shift happens?
Well, so will people still value? No, I mean, it's mass consumption.
Mm, yeah.
It's it's going to be detached from emotions.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been exposed to, and I'm sure you have, AI generated music. I mean, maybe it's getting better. We even toyed around with creating like a little theme song, right, for Liz Cross, whatever. And I was like, there's no emotion to this.
No.
It you can feel you can't really emotionally connect. But then as you're going forward with generations who are growing up behind screens and growing up not emotionally connecting as much as the older generations, they won't know the difference.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm seeing exactly. It's the next generations that will become normalized, and it will also jive with their way of kind of growing up with being, AI in general and technology in general is kind of separating people and breaking down those social connections from a young age. So the next generations will just be like that by default to some extent. So why wouldn't their music, you know, um, reflect that also?
Mm-hmm.
So. But in the meantime, in the short term, if we can ask Mr. Martin, will people still value soulful, organic music until the next generations come up?
Will people still value? Yes, absolutely. And they
Right.
will value live music.
Yeah, that's my next question, maybe for
Oh,
Mr. Cash. So we're talking about recorded music for the most part. What happens to live music? Are we going into like holograms performing music and even the live music is going away, or will we still have performers? Will it be valued?
well, we still have live music. We will. It'll be more intimate going forward.
Mm.
It will
So,
be a luxury.
mm,
Um, So will we still have live? We will still have live music. Will we still have the big concerts going out into the future, like way out into the future? Say we go out 100 years. We're not going to have those big concerts like what we have now.
mm. I would have thought that the big concerts might have been taken over by holograms, and then like you were saying, the more intimate stuff is like real people.
Oh, will we have the big concerts or concerts taken over by Hollywood? Look, they're going to try that, but it's not going to be popular.
Mm. And is that because they can't connect with the holograms?
It's they're so funny. The the Beatles guy. It's like watching a bloody ghost parade around on stage.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Yeah, yeah, I think so. So okay, so that doesn't catch on. Now, is the reason that we have less live music in general going forward, is that because here's the other thing. If you're a musician right now, okay, you're an independent musician right now, or you're an up and coming, maybe you're just getting started, it's extremely hard to support yourself and learn how to play an instrument, how to develop a voice, develop skills in writing, just develop skills in performing your music. All of those things, producing, you have to produce your own music these days. You have to make videos. You have to do the social media thing. You have to do so much and somehow support yourself. And, with the cost of living going up everywhere, it's already squeezing musicians out, from the bottom levels. is this what how live music kind of dies? Because there's just incentive. There's just not enough incentive to grow musicians anymore.
This is how live music. Um, this is the killing off of strong musical talent who otherwise were poor, grassroots, undiscovered, who, goes from 0 to 60 with fame because of a record label discovery. Are we still going to have record labels going out into the future? No, we're not.
So will they be taken over completely by the streaming services?
Will they be taken over completely? Yes, you're gonna look for like Spotify, YouTube scouts, things like that to find you.
Mm.
Record labels are dying. They're a
Yeah.
dying breed.
Yeah. Their only hope is to meld with the streaming services, and they are just a little bit, but you know, not so
But
much.
then why does the streaming service need them? Look, I could say so much
They
on this
don't.
topic, but
They
I
don't.
won't.
They
They
really
don't
don't.
need them.
They don't. No. So I can see how they go to the wayside. That's not a surprise to me.
Mm.
And I can see how the streaming services are going to take over for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, that's the really sad thing is that unless you're wealthy, you know what I mean, to be able to support yourself, and it's not even just about the money to support yourself, it's about having the time, the ability to develop as an artist. Like you don't just come out of,
Mhm.
there's people that are talented, but everybody needs to hone their skills, right? And
Mhm.
it's just gonna people just won't be able to actually monetarily be able to do that anymore. Um, now
And
here's the thing.
I talk about that extensively on our private videos, especially where my son is concerned. So yeah, I know it's a scary prospect.
So here's the other thing that people are saying will help this problem, and that's if and when we get like a universal basic income. The thought is, well, that will give the ability for musicians to then develop and do their craft and skills. But is that true? Like I feel like that would be true in the beginning, but maybe in the end, is there still the incentive to be a musician if everything's taken care of for you? You know what I'm saying?
So a lot of those things are extracurricular activities and like music lessons, um, choir, singing lessons, all of that, Suzuki, whatever it is. And those are very costly even now. So let's ask Johnny Cash, will we see when and the mass of the population or a large percentage of the population are on universal basic income, will we see people, will there be
A revival of
a
musician.
revival? No, there's going to be a decline because will there be funding built into that universal basic income package that will include extracurricular activity? Absolutely not. Listen, universal basic income is going to be the bare minimum. And quite frankly, what we're seeing here in the US right now, which is people are not getting their food stamps for the month of November, right? There's a lot of talked about this yesterday, a lot of starving people out there. Do you really want to be on universal basic income and then the government shuts down or whatever, and the government says, "Oh, by the way, we can't pay you this month."
Mm,
Does
yeah,
that sound like a good prospect for the future generations? No, it does not.
right,
There will be no room built into that universal basic income package for extracurricular activities.
right,
So you're going to see a decline in children, because that's where it starts, participating, or most of the time, participating in extracurricular things. You're going to see a decline in that.
right. Yeah, it's whatever they think is important or whatever they don't think is important that immediately gets, put into that system. So,
Well, they'll put the onus on the schools, but then the schools will be, tightening their belts, right?
mhm.
I mean, certainly where we live, there's a usually really good music programs in all the schools, but we're starting to already see that dwindling down. Would I say it's an excellent program? No, but I would say it's certainly an introductory program.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not the be all and end all. What you're talking about is like where music is someone's life. And so let's ask Johnny Cash, like what's going to happen with the schools in the future? And no, the music program is going to be null and void.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I have an odd question. We've gone through most of my questions, I think, so far, but I had this weird one that I thought of last night before I went to bed. Because AI music's so easy to just pump out, and there's not really anybody necessarily behind it that you can point to, does that lead to things that we haven't seen before? Well, maybe we have seen that before in the past to some degree, but like music, like propaganda music, if you know what I mean. Like people can kind of try and use the AI to kind of influence culture very easily through music, whether it's like political or otherwise or whatever. I don't know. I'm just kind of using my imagination. Um, is that something that happens in the future to like a more extreme degree?
Oh, where people write music or or they publish politically biased or points of view in songs. Like for example, there's a whole genre on the Vietnam War music, right?
Right.
And it's actually really good. If anybody ever listens to it, I mean, you listen to the lyrics in those songs. I mean, it's like, I'm not signing up to your war. This is, BS. And are
Yeah,
we going to start are we going to start seeing like political movements through? You can do, and Johnny Cash is saying yes, but
I was thinking more of like engineering culture. Like it could be like a government or it could be like a political institution or something where they're using artificial intelligence to try and manipulate people through music. 'Cause it's so easy to create it. And there's nobody behind it. Like you can't point to this person and say, "Oh, this person wrote it." So there's no responsibility there. And also there's not a real person there to point the finger at.
Mm. Well, to answer your first question at the beginning of the video, who gets paid? It'll be the streaming companies that get paid.
Right.
Um, I mean, they can create political, musically based movements through AI music, but Johnny Cash is saying it's not so effective
Mm.
because, again, you really need that emotional connection. You need that humans generating the music to strike the chord within a human soul. So
Yeah.
does AI music touch the soul? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But human generated music can grab the soul and shake it around is what he's showing me and mix things up that can make you feel alive.
Yeah. So, do we ever come back to that at some point?
Do we ever come back to that at some point? Not, it just seems like everything we're putting out is doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom if you've never known any different. So for those of us
Right,
that have experienced things differently, it does appear as if, oh my God, this is terrible. But if you're like one of those up and coming generations going further out down the line that's never known any better, you're not going to think anything different.
right. Yeah, that is true.
Um, will we get back to that? I mean, we will, but then how does it have its outreach? I mean, the one thing is, if we were still listening, this is what Johnny Cash is saying, and I agree with him. If radio stations still had the pull and the power that they did
Mhm.
over people like they once had, then yes, you could really affect a large portion of the population. However, that's not the case. It's like there's going to be little pockets of things here and
Mm.
there, but you've really got to get the outreach. And that's another way that musicians are going to struggle in the future. It's with the outreach. How are you going to
Yes.
reach your audience?
Yes, that is a very good point. And that's, I was actually thinking the same things as I was kind of going through all of this. Like the solution in my mind to all of this is just like you're saying. So the radio stations, whether you like them or not, they had a way to appeal to a very broad amount of people, right? So you could have artists that would come out that are like timeless, that, span generations and touch, different ages, different ethnicities, like all over, like different demographics, right? Now
Mm.
what's shifting to is all of the music is AI driven in the algorithm. Not that it's created by AI, but just whatever you see is what the algorithm wants you to see. So everybody's in their own silo with music. If the way to really be successful right now is if you develop a cult following of just enough people, and you'll notice this if you go look at like the top 100 or whatever, there's all kinds of artists that you know their names of the artists, but you'll never hear any of their songs. Or maybe you don't even know the name of the artist, but they're like super popular. And that's not just because we're old or people think we're old. It's younger people too. And why is that? Because the algorithm is just like putting you into a box of you just listen to this music and you never get anything outside of that box. So that's kind of where we are now already. And I'm sure it's going to get worse, for better or for worse. That's kind of the way that it's going. So I guess my question is, the only way I see this stuff kind of surviving, or music surviving, is that they have a new way for people to discover their music. If Spotify's algorithm is not going to push the independent upcoming music, then they need a new mechanism to do that somehow. So right now you have TikTok and you have YouTube where you can blow up and become viral and there's no gatekeepers technically. But eventually I think the algorithm is going to take that over as well. So
Wow.
do artists come up with a new way for, independent artists or organic music artists or whatever to get listened to beyond Spotify and those big monopolies?
So okay, so the question is, does Spotify come up with a way?
No, not Spotify.
Sorry,
Do the independent artists or the musicians themselves come up with a way for people to discover their music outside of Spotify, outside of the algorithm?
on Spotify. Only through live gigs,
Okay, right,
only through pounding the pavement to bar after bar and stage after stage and growing the um, following fan base organically in that way outside of these streaming services.
right.
But what I am getting is, and this is true of traditionally with the record companies, you got to have money behind you,
Yeah,
right? This is no longer a poor man's game.
yep,
This is going to be a rich man's game.
yeah,
And that means, like, unless you have all of this going on in the background where you're hiring your own photographers, you're doing, like you said, doing your own videos, building your own portfolios, paying for your own session time in the recording studio, paying for your musicians, putting yourself out there, getting bots to spam yourself out there, getting PR people or PR companies or marketing firms. You are going to have the money, if this is what you want to do, to fund yourself and
yeah.
push yourself out there.
Yep.
It's
It's already
not
like
going
that
to
now.
happen any other way.
It's already like that now, and I just see it getting it's getting harder. So yeah. Yeah. I think you're right on the money, unfortunately, with what you're getting. Okay.
That's what I'm getting. And I mean, you're again, the little poor grassroots, extremely talented person who is very deserving of discovery. And we deserve, as an audience, we deserve them, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just going to fall by the wayside. That's it. Unless they have professional scouts, which they will eventually with Spotify, because it will it will be very profitable for them to scout people out like that. But it's
Mhm.
certainly not like Nashville's Music Row with loads and loads of record companies going to every gig every night of all these obscure people, going to open mic nights, going to songwriters nights and discovering people
Yeah.
and making something of them. That's gone.
And there's going to be less people doing it in the future as
Right.
well. So there's that as
Well,
well.
financially,
Yes.
they're going to be squeezed unless they come from a, you know, either they have a trust fund or they have, like you said, some way to support themselves. And this is all coming in from Johnny Cash. Yeah,
Or,
this is
like what do they call it? Like someone who's um paying for you to be an artist. There's a word for that. I can't remember what it is. It could be like a foundation or, a very wealthy person that appreciates art and he's giving you money to produce your art. I can't remember what it's called now. But did we see a revival
oh,
of that in the future?
commissioned. You mean like being paid a commission to?
And it could be commission, but also they do it like there was like if you go back in history, there's I don't know if it was in the Renaissance or what period it was in. There was these very wealthy people who would just fund artists, and it would be like they're not just funding it for them. Maybe they would get a commission out of it, but like everybody got to enjoy their art too, to some degree. They're kind of supporting
And
culture.
mm, mm. I mean, you may have investors, but see, Johnny Cash is saying no.
Yeah,
I mean, you may have some very wealthy investors that could come by and say, you know what? I'm going to put my money on that person. I don't see it because he's saying it's too high risk. It's too much of a gamble. You, I just don't, he's saying no, Liz, that's not going to happen. Wealthy investors, business people would rather put their money into businesses that are going to produce an income like housing and restaurants and things like that.
yeah. Yeah, no, this is, you can see the writing on the wall here. It's not the
Mm.
greatest, but I mean, what can we do about it? You need to support the things that you love. If you appreciate the stuff, if you're someone that appreciates that, you need to find ways to support those artists that are doing that, whether it's going out to live music, whether it's, following them on social media or whatever platforms they come up with to support them. They need your help, for sure. Um, so if you appreciate it, pay it forward, I guess is one way to say it.
Well, you're going to have to make it a point to support the arts
right. Like
going
beyond
going
going and
forward.
listening on Spotify, because that's not really helping, you know?
No, no, it's minimal. I mean, on YouTube, I know that there are artists that produce their work, and you can listen to it
Sure.
as many times as you want to. And obviously, they will get views and they will get paid. But
Yes.
don't forget, all these platforms take a 30% cut.
If not
They,
more, some of them
yeah.
wouldn't take more. Yeah.
People underestimate how much YouTube actually pays. And we worked it out once, didn't we, Mr. Photon? It's like 0.00001 or something per view.
Yeah.
I think that's what we worked it out to be, like three
Something
zeros
like
or four zeros and one. It's
that.
not even a penny per view. It's like zero sub zero zero. I mean, it's a lot. And
Yeah,
and
so
there's so many guidelines and so many things. So
if you're
any
just
of these
getting
places.
started, then it's you can't make a living off of it, right? If you're at the top of the top, then yes. But in order to get to the top of the top, right? There's a lot of things that you have to do that you're not paid for to get to the top of the top, right? So you have to have the
Right.
means to do that. Yeah.
Right. And Spotify's the same thing. Does Spotify pay more than YouTube? No, they're all
No,
about the
no,
same.
no.
I'm
Yeah, they're all
getting
about the
that,
same.
yeah. So
Yeah,
they all
and
take their cut for you
yeah.
using their platforms.
Oh yeah. And they're implementing where you have to have a minimum amount of streams for your music to even get paid at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So further is like kind of pushing away independent musicians. How do you get started, right? So
Well, it's the ones that have the drive and the determination. See, as I said that, Johnny Cash is saying, no, that's not true, Liz. And I'm saying, well, okay, so what will be the formula for a musician to be successful in the future? He says it doesn't even have to be any sort of, extreme talent anymore. It's going to be mediocre, but do they look good and do they have funding?
right. Yeah. It seems like the way. Right? It's going to
Yeah.
be so easy to just kind of replace a person playing a part in a song or whatever. It's going to be so easy to replace a writer. It's going to be so easy to replace this that you don't have to learn. You don't have to spend 15 years learning an instrument anymore because it's good enough now. It's not, if you compare the two with an ear, obviously it's not the same because there's no soul, but in the future, it's going to be good enough, I think. So,
Yeah. So I come from a very musical family, um, generationally speaking, and my kids are going into music, and it's like, okay, what do we do with this information? Well, I now have the responsibility to set them up for the future. This, I want them to pursue their passion.
mhm.
Life is pretty crummy if you're not pursuing what you're passionate about,
Yeah,
and you're just a drone, which most of us are just drones going to like a drone job,
right.
where you're just sitting there punching out numbers or doing whatever you are doing, making profit for someone else, but knowing that they are following that artistic path. And that goes for anybody who is watching their children grow up. From a very young age, you can see it, whether they're drawing and coloring and or singing and dancing and taking an interest in all these things. You are going to have to facilitate a way for them to survive in what's coming. We talk about the 1950s and the 1960s being the golden years economically. And as we move further out, we will look back on those times and think, well, what's happened? People on one wage could afford to buy a house and live comfortably and have a family car and feed the family and wear nice clothes and take, maybe not extravagant vacations, but they certainly took, a vacation, whether it's camping or going to the beach. I mean, we are rapidly moving away from that. So if you notice the talent within your children, you need to start now. Start young, don't wait till they're 18 and then you say, "Oh, I've done my bit and now here you go. You're on your own to make your own way." That old way of thinking is not going to work in the future. Okay? It's not going to work. You tell them, oh, you're on your way. They can't even afford an apartment. It's not like what it used to be. So you're
Yeah.
going to have to set them up for the future. It's no longer, I have kids for 18 years now. It's, I have kids for my life, for the rest of my life now, and you have to help them.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's you know what we this is all information. You can say it's doom and gloom, but it's just data, it's just information, and you're sitting in
Mm.
the position lucky enough to hear it and do something about it, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe, whether you're an enjoyer of music, well, maybe now it's a little bit more precious to you because it may be going away in popularity. So, it's a commodity that might be very scarce and very valuable. And if you're someone, who's, up and coming musician, you have choices to make changes, to do things differently, to have a chance, and not do the same old things that may be going away. And yeah, if you're a parent, you can make decisions for the future for your kids differently than maybe things were done in the past. Because a lot of people will be trapped in the old ways of thinking, and hopefully you might have some wisdom from some of this data to do things differently.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's happening whether Psychic Liz Cross and Mr. Photon puts it out. It's going to happen anyway. So stay on top of it. Know the trends. Run with it. Know how to navigate your life around it. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to navigate and circumvent and jump through the loopholes and stay on top where we don't end up on universal basic income. Remember what I said? The government just pulled the food stamps, okay? Do you really want them to give you your monthly salary? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
that's a good point.
Really? You trust them? You trust them with that? I don't. And I feel sorry for our friends if anybody's out there listening and they're not getting their food stamps. I really do. At the end of the day, I know there's a lot of viciousness going on out there about, who cares? Let them starve. I care. I care. Most people with a heart care. And
Mm,
you've got a lot of children that are going hungry, and that's not good. What does
yeah,
that say? We're saying basically we don't really care if you starve to a child. That's really not setting them up for the future, is it? All
right.
right. Well, anyway, so this was interesting. Thank you, Johnny Cash. Thank you so much. Okay, he's going back to the bar now. And
Yeah.
again, don't forget, Mr. Photon has a tip jar listed down below.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. This was great. Thank you.